All right, so this is part one, the parts of drum brake conversion to disc. And this will be the parts you need. Obviously, you need the car that has drum brakes. So essentially every Civic besides the SI models has drum rear brakes. So parts we'll need in this order. I'm gonna put you down. See if I can do it without falling over. So I want to stay. Perfect. So you'll need these spindles from, I got these from the same year as my car, 98 Integra. What I went and did is I replaced the bushings, because the bushings that were in the old ones were essentially, these were broken through. So these are True Heart solid, as you can see, and then they are indexed. So there is an up and down and there's a certain orientation. I got them as close as I could to what the old ones were. So I marked them and pressed them in. So these spindles, so these are the must parts that you must replace when doing the conversion. So I went going the spindle route, so I got spindles, cleaned up as much of the rust as I could on them, and then just gave them a quick paint. They're going to be under the car, so I won't be really looking at them that much. So the spindles is the part one. The second one, a thing you must have, is you really shouldn't be reusing them at all, but would be the brakes. So the brake discs. So I got these because they're anti-corrosion, and then they match the fronts that I got. Like an unboxing video at the same time too. So I got these tiny controllers. So these are the rears. These have an anti-corrosion surface, so there's no brake cleaner necessary to put these on, which is pretty good. This brake fluid is expensive, so that is a must. So you must get 2 of those. So put these back together. So 2 of these. And the matching of these. These were actually from Rock Auto, and they actually weren't that expensive. But the rotors aren't necessarily the most important part. If you're going to splurge on one specific thing, it is going to be brake pads. So I have these exact same brake pads on the fronts, and I actually did an autocross day with my brakes set up essentially the way you see them currently. But these comes with a nice sticker. These tiny ass brake pads for the rear. But these EBC yellow stuff, and these are a must for doing the brake job, disc brake conversion. So I got a set of these. So, absolutely must. The other parts for the must is these. So these are park brake cables. So there's no way around it. You must replace these when you're doing a conversion, because these ends will only work with the calipers, not the drums, because the ends on the drum brake calipers, on the end, the park brake cable ends on the drums are different versus on the disc. So this is a must. This is one of the ones you must. Again, these weren't terribly expensive. They just need to work. So again, quality is not the important thing, But these were the most regarded ones on Rock Auto. Again, Rock Auto came in clutch for these. Rock Auto does not sell these ones, by the way. I actually go to the EBC website to get these specifically. So park brake cables as a pair. They sell them individually. And then the other things that are a must is these. So that's the pin. Hard to see, but there's the pin for the other side. There is the clip for the pin, the other side. And then hard to see, that is the cotter pin for these. And these actually, the only way I could find these were actually on eBay. These actually came all the way from Japan. Came with a Japan slip, which is pretty cool. Actually, I did save it so I can show you guys here. Which is pretty cool. These came all the way from Japan, which is pretty nice. I actually had to sign for these, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, those must. Now the other stuff that's not necessarily a must, but you should category is this. So what this is the distribution block for the brakes. So this one came from an Integra as well. This will change the brake pressure to the rears, because the ones on the Hondas that have drum brakes actually send more pressure to the rear brakes. So if you do this without doing these, and then you do plan on driving these hard, is that you'll lock up these rears before the fronts, which can cause the vehicle to oversteer. It's not what you want. So you get one of these that balances back out, puts more towards the front. So when you do inevitably lock up, because when you're driving hard, it'll lock up the fronts versus the rears, which is what you want. So this was another eBay. They do not make these parts new. So you have to get these from eBay or somebody that's selling these. But that is the specific part. So if you can see it on there, that's what you're looking for. Because I ordered another one, which was wrong, which is actually the same one from this car. So I had to reorder one. But this is the one that you want here. The other thing that you should, since you have to take these all apart, is that these, just without absolutely destroying the box here, is the brake hoses. So the hoses that came from these donors were absolute garbage. And again, if these come with brake hoses and they're in good condition, you could reuse them, but why not be safe than sorry and just buy new brake lines? So I got 2 new brake lines. So I feel like it's a must. So again, from the same thing. This is also from Rock Auto. Again, shout out to them. And these were within my budget. And then, if it came with it, salvage all the hardware that you can, because some of the hardware, depending on how rusty your car is, may or may not come off in one piece. As you can see, even trying to take some of the pieces off, I have broken some stuff. So save all the hardware that you can. And not necessary, probably the least of importance, but I got is, again from Rock Auto, is that I got a 1-inch Brake Master cylinder, because I don't want my brake pedal to travel as far when I do all those upgrades. So I got a 1-inch from Spectrum and Integra, because the Integras come with 1 inches. So that was where this one specifically came from. So this would be the top off to everything else that I have done. And essentially that concludes all the parts that you need. So the overkill parts, necessary stuff, again, necessary stuff. Highly recommend it, but not necessary unless yours are in crappy condition. Park brake cables, 100% necessary. You must replace them. Again, park brake cables from the same company. And you should never reuse the rotors if they came from a donor car. So these, oh, and I did forget one part as well. Sorry, that does not conclude. So these are the last ones, which I guess you could reuse the old, if your donors, again, assuming that your donors came with calipers, if your calipers are in good condition, you can reuse them. Mine didn't really at all, so I got a new caliper. It came with all the parts it possibly contained. So, came with the clips, came with the crush washers for the brake lines, and then loaded caliper with bracket, nice and shiny, bleeder valve, all that stuff. So for me, I wanted everything essentially to be new, so I got brake calipers as well. So mine only came with one, which is really rusty. Which, if you guys are curious or not, I can show you. I don't know why they came in 2 different size boxes. Oh yeah, also too is that these were also from Rock Auto. So just essentially you just find ones that come with all the parts that you need. And this is my part. These rears came with these, but as you can see, these are in horrible condition. And I was just going to buy new ones anywho. So that's what I did. I'm not going to reuse these. These are probably going to go straight in the garbage because no one, unless you buy brake calipers, they don't take the old ones from you. So that is going in the garbage. And that concludes all of the parts that you would need for the conversion. So again, all the parts that you can need. Brake rotors, calipers, park brake lines, brake hoses, the reservoir, the donor parts, the extra hardware, and then the distribution block. If I miss anything, you guys can put it in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's everything that I need. Because all the other stuff that's on here is going to be new. So that's going to be adjustable. I'm going to resave. Oh, no, there is one more part, actually. I forgot. Is going on this conversion. And that way, finishes it up. So the last part is again from Trueheart, which is where these bushings come from, is these. So these are going to be essentially what goes right into here, and then will be extra adjustment for toe, just in case these are a little misshapen or not. Plus, replaces the bushings in there, but that's where these will go. Right in there. And then those would be extra adjustment for my toe. These things are going to be really tight in there, which is what I want with the toe links. Otherwise than that, there is actually nothing else going into these. Of course, once you do all this work, because toe adjustment in the rear is on this, also too, is that if you have adjustable camber arms, they go into these, you'll have to get an alignment once you do all this stuff. Also, you'll have to, one of the things I didn't show, because I'm going to buy this when I'm actually starting to do it, is brake fluid. With all the parts that I'm doing, including this, I'm going to get a 32-ounce bottle, which essentially is all the brake fluid that this car holds, especially since I am doing the master cylinder here. So that concludes all the parts that you would need for this job. If you wanted to do it full spec, you can kind of pick and choose on what you want to do out of the ones that I recommended earlier. But as a minimum, if you're going to do it the arms way, is replace the arms. If they have good bushings, you can reuse them. You can tell pretty easily, but if they're out of the car, you might as well replace them. The park brake lines, pads, rotors is a minimum, but as you saw, you just decide. Otherwise than that, that concludes this series as part 1, the parts. And I will see you in the part 2.